With how afraid humans are of gluten, imagine how afraid they'll be of goblins. That kind of humor sums up everything about the ridiculousness that is Artemis Fowl. Bienvenidos, worldwide fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. Jaime En Fuego here, and I welcome you to my namesake program, Enfuegotainment once more. This is a Rapido Fuego review, and you will be seeing this on a Saturday, and I do something called Shitterday on Saturdays, and that's what we got here, Artemis Fowl. Sometimes you just have to see if it's as bad as everybody says it is. And this movie just boggled my mind with how utterly ridiculous it was. So based on the book series from the 2000s, I think there was either 6 or 8 entries in there, Irish author, very popular, and they've been trying to develop this at Disney for years and years. I think it stretches all the way back to 2016 when they were initially trying to get a script together, get it into production, whatever, went through a few different directors, yada yada yada. Eventually Kenneth Branagh, who did Thor, and he did Cinderella, which was actually my favorite live action adaptation from Disney, and yeah, this film was like $120 million bucks. And it shows. It's a pretty damn good looking movie, very heavy on the CGI, which you would probably expect, but I mean, the makeup on all of these different creatures, because there is our world, and in the Artemis Fowl lore, there is an underground world filled with fairies and goblins and trolls. We don't rip about bitches and holes, we're talking witches and trolls, man. I mean, and it's pretty interestingly realized. I thought that it was cool, and the trolls especially look really, but their attire, the fact that they're wearing like regular people clothes down there in some cases, I don't know, man. But the tone of this is so all over the place, most notably because of Josh Gad. And Josh Gad is essentially our narrator throughout most of it. So Kenneth Branagh, who is a very good director, by the way, as I think I already mentioned here, but the structuring of the script and the fact that he is basically explaining everything that's happening, spoon feeding us to it, which is like a mortal sin, you know, in filmmaking. Everybody says show, don't tell. Well, this movie, it's just leading you around throughout the entirety of it. And Gad, yeah, he definitely looks like Hagrid, 100%. It's very funny to me, and yet he's cracking jokes, and a lot of them do not work, man. I mean, he's the one that brings the tone off more often than not and feels so insanely out of place in this film. Everybody else, I mean, the kid who plays Artemis, he's fine. Colin Farrell, he's fine. You know, the butler, who's named Butler, and don't you call him Butler, like, yeah, that's what we get in this movie. He's fine. His niece, who's brought on to really kind of do nothing. It's unfair to her character, you know, that, oh yeah, it's actually just going to be the little white fairy named Holly, and, you know, the African-American girl, she's just relegated to, yeah, the background. It's pretty ridiculous in that regard. But, yeah, so the humor is outrageous. I mean, there is a point where Josh Gad is in prison because he's this, like, master thief, and he's a dwarf, but he's an oversized dwarf for whatever reason. Apparently that's a thing, and it's supposed to yield some humor. Doesn't really. And yeah, he's got human music that he's listening to, and he's listening to Foreigner, I Want to Know What Love Is. And he starts kind of chastising these trolls that he's in lockup with, and it's one of the strangest scenes that I have witnessed in a movie in a really long time. I'm like tearing up laughing about just how bonkers it was. There was so much that was bonkers about this movie, and there's a lot of convoluted stuff that goes down too that it's glossed over and just very briefly explained. We also don't get the conclusion that we were anticipating. This film, obviously, Disney was hoping for franchise, and since it has been savaged by critics, it also was hated on by fans of the book series because of the fact that this kid is supposed to be like a master criminal, but he kind of becomes an anti-hero, I guess, over the course of the books. I just briefly read a little bit about it. Well, that doesn't happen in this. He's like just a kid trying to rescue his father, and, you know, he kidnaps a fairy, but he uses it as a bargaining tool with Judi Dench. Damn Judi Dench. Between this and Cats, man, I don't know what was going on in the last, like, year or two of your stuff. I mean, I know you're still doing great dramatic work, but you're taking those paychecks too, lady, and it kind of, it makes you respect the woman who is insanely talented actress, significantly less. So, you know, this movie wasn't as bad as I anticipated with how I've seen people slog it over, but it is definitely a mishmash of so many different, like, this is the one that the hate parade can just shooting fish in a barrel. I will commend the fact that Brana does direct it pretty well. It's a cool looking movie a lot of the time, and most of the acting is serviceable enough, aside from Josh Gad, who is just, he's wanking all over this, man. He is hamming it up, and he feels very out of place. So I'm not going to give this a 1 out of 5 Fuego Fireballs, but it is most definitely a 2. This is a malo film. It's probably more like 1.5 stars in some ways, but then, you know, just once again, the effects and a few aspects of, I was kind of intrigued with the world building, but they just kind of half-assed it. So what are you gonna do, man? But yeah, 2 out of 5 is malo. It is a bad film. So I extend a grande gracias. I've been Jaime En Fuego, and you can find more on all social media sectors, just like you see spelled below: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Here on YouTube, I took a purposeful 1-week sabbatical from YouTube, just out of respect from just how crazy the world has been. A lot beyond COVID, man. The world has just been, I don't know, I feel like culturally taking steps back, at least here in the United States. I know there's differing opinions about that, and I'm not here to be giving social or political ideals and perspectives and opinions. I'm just here to give you my opinion about a movie. But yeah, out of respect, I took a week off, and just to kind of process a lot, I suppose. But yeah, usually review here just about every day, man, and yeah, all kinds of different stuff, from big budget comic booky whatever, Star Wars geeking out, to indie art house dramas, things of that nature. So I try to make it as you know, variety based as possible. But if you like spectacular stuff, which is where, if you're ever here, you've probably seen me over on the horror show, where compared to my little over 1,000 subscribers, we have over 33,000. But yeah, trailer reactions, film reviews, unboxings, video game let's plays. I do a weekly Hail to Stephen King show, so check that out, youtube.com/The Horror Show channel. But until next time, everybody, when the reel of Ka comes around, once more, hasta luego, Cinemigos, constant viewers and readers alike, say thank you. But I'm hopeful we share more of this palaver sooner rather than later, and hopefully about a better film. So stay home, stay safe, and watch more movies.